Maintainability of test cases. The new test case with the credit card looks good. It's nicely formatted, it's data-driven, and it includes useful test attributes. The problem is that the website, and especially the part called User Interface or UI, is subject to frequent changes. Example, the login button from Step 9 can easily be renamed Sign In. Thus, if we have 3 test cases, we have to make 3 changes. But what if we have 500 test cases where the login button is mentioned, and what if these test cases are scattered among many test suites? You might say, not a big deal, it's easy to guess. But as time goes by, we could have hundreds of small changes like that. Gradually, our test cases will either start to lose their practical value, or they will start to consume too much time for maintenance. So, the name of the issue is maintainability. That's the simplicity and ease of changing a test case to reflect changes in the software. If we don't think about test case maintainability, we are not thinking about tomorrow. Now, let's split the steps of the test case with credit card into logical modules. Please open File, Test Case Module, and take a look. Let's see how we can make this test case more maintainable. 1. Create new user. We do have to tell a tester how to create new user account using the test tool Account Creator. But why shall we put the same steps over and over again every time when new account needs to be created? Instead, what if we select blocks of steps which will be repeated in many test cases? Put those blocks into an external document and put a reference to that external document in those test cases where our steps used to be. Using this approach, we can save ourselves enormous effort, because if test case steps have to be changed, we need to make that change in one place only. Let's navigate to Create Account page where all corresponding steps are listed. Test Portal, More Stuff, QA Knowledge Base, Create New Account. 2. Login. It's easy to guess where to enter email and password and which button to press to log in, so we can get rid of unnecessary steps. Step 6, 7, 8, and 9. Note that we aren't testing the login process here. We have separate test cases for that. Now we are simply using login as one of the steps to execute our test case with credit card. 3. Find a product. An approach from Section 2, Login, above is applicable here too. What else can we do here? Let's say that someone accidentally deleted the book Great Expectations from the DB. What shall we do now? We simply prevent that situation by looking into the DB table books to see the available book titles. Test Portal, DB, Data, Books. So, during test case execution, we'll just search for a keyword from any title available in the table Books. Let's create a QA knowledge base article for that. Find Search Keyword. Test Portal, More Stuff, QA Knowledge Base, find Search Keyword. 4. Add product to shopping cart. An approach from Section 2, Login, above is applicable here too. 5. Generate credit card. Let's create a QA knowledge base article, Generate Credit Card. Test Portal, More Stuff, QA Knowledge Base, Generate Credit Card. 6. Do Checkout. Let's create a QA knowledge base article, Do Checkout. Test Portal, More Stuff, QA Knowledge Base, Do Checkout. 7. Get Order ID, and 8. Query DB. Let them be. Now, let's recap the measures we took to improve the maintainability of the test case. 1. Make the test case data-driven. 2. Don't include steps for obvious, easy-to-guess scenarios. 3. Don't give concrete details if they don't matter during the execution of the test case. For example, the search keyword. 4. Single out repeated scenarios, move them into the QA knowledge base, and put a link to that QA KB page into the test case. Please open the file Test Case Example 3 and see the difference. Note that all links to knowledge base articles are clickable. By the way, for the execution, test cases can be printed out on paper. Test cases can be viewed on a monitor as opened MS Word or MS Excel files, or whatever files we use for test cases. Test cases can be viewed on a monitor as part of special test case management software, for example, App Test. The number of expected results inside one test case. Our test case verifies only one concrete thing. Payment can be made by Visa, and in an ideal situation, there is only one expected result. But in reality, things are more complex. Example: let's assume that according to item 12B of the document code design for the spec 6522, we can say that a payment with Visa is successful only if two conditions are met. 1. In the DB, the column result of the table CC transactions has a value of 10 for the record with our Visa transaction. 2. The credit card balance is reduced by the amount equal to the amount of the payment. So, in order to verify only one concrete thing, for example, payment can be made by Visa, we have to check to see if the reality meets two expected results. We have two ways. 1. Split the test case idea into two ideas and create two test cases. Or 2. Don't change the test case idea and have two expected results in one test case. The test case would pass only if both actual results match the corresponding expected results. In all other cases, the test case would fail. Please open File Test Case Example 4. That's how we run this test case. Execute first 10 steps, compare the actual result and expected result. Execute step 11. Compare the actual result and expected result. By the way, the state of the software used to compare actual results and expected results is called a verification point. In our test case, we have two verification points, after step 10 and after step 11. Our test case with two expected results would pass only if both conditions are true. 1. The actual result after step 10 equals 10. And 2. The actual result after step 11 equals step 2 minus step 8. We are talking about the result of subtracting the amount of payment, step 8, from the card balance before payment, step 2. Let's execute this test case. 1. Generate credit card CQAKB and copy card number into the temporary text file. 2. Get credit card balance and write it down. 3. Create new account CQAKB. 4. Login. 5. Find search keyword CQAKB. 6. Do search. 7. Add book to the shopping cart. 8. Copy card number from the temporary text file and do checkout CQAKB. While doing it, write down amount of payment. 9. Write down order ID. 10. Make DB query SQL1. Expected result 10. 11. Get credit card balance and write it down. Expected result step 2 minus step 8. Wait, I've noticed something wrong during checkout. It looks like a discount is added to the total, not subtracted from it. Let's put a book into the shopping cart and see. It's definitely a bug. Now let's open the Python source file and see what caused that bug. You can see that the developer put a plus sign instead of a minus sign. We're going an extra mile here because black box testers don't usually look into the software code, but I'd like you to see what caused the bug with discounts. As you remember, we should report all found bugs via the bug tracking system. We'll talk a lot about bug tracking during our future lessons. So for now, let me just file that bug. Please note that the bugs you file into the bug tracking system for Test Portal are visible only to you. You can see the bug summary and description inside the file Bug Example 1. Let's go back to our talk about 2 or more expected results. In theory, it would be cleaner to split the test case into 2 parts and create 2 test cases. 1. Idea. The correct success code is inserted into the DB if Visa is used. 2. Idea. The correct amount is debited from the Visa balance during checkout. If possible, it's better to create 2 test cases, but in the majority of situations, it's more practical to combine 2 or more expected results into 1 test case. The rationale? You probably will not have time to write, execute, and maintain 2 test cases. If we have only one situation where 2 expected results can be combined, writing, executing, and maintaining 2 test cases are not a problem. But what if you have hundreds of situations like that, and thus hundreds of extra test cases? The save time and effort can be spent writing, executing, and maintaining at least one more test case. As time goes by, you'll create hundreds of additional test cases that would make a huge difference on how thoroughly your application is tested. Very often, when you have 2 or more expected results, you have to check for a certain value on the web page and or a certain value in the DB and or a certain value in the log file. By the way, a log file is a text file in a specified format that keeps track of particular events. For example, a programmer can write a code that appends a log file in the following format every time someone successfully pays with a credit card. Here is an example of the content of such log file. Let's look at our log file. Test Portal, logs, ccTransactionLog.txt. By the way, a Unix timestamp is the number of seconds that have passed since midnight on January 1st, 1970. Programmers often use a Unix timestamp to log the precise time of a specific event, like the creation of a new user account. A web page belongs to the front end. Database and log files belong to the back end. Brain positioning. The front end is the interface that a user can see and use. For example, text, images, buttons, links. Compared to a car, the front-end pieces are items like the steering wheel and the dashboard. The back end is the software and data that are hidden from the user. For example, the web server, the DB, the log files, etc. Compared to a car, the back-end pieces are items like the engine and the electrical circuits of the car. Here is one last note about 2 or more expected results. We looked at a situation requiring a step 11, between expected result 1 and expected result 2. In real life, you'll also encounter situations when you'll have 2 or more expected results at one verification point. For example, step 1, step 2, step 3. Expected result 1, expected result 2. Lesson recap. 1. Test case maintainability is about the ease and comfort with which we are able to modify a test case. Test case maintainability is one of the most important formal aspects to keep in mind during test case generation or modification. 2. Excessive detailing of steps causes difficulty in test case maintenance, while excessive abstraction causes difficulty in test case execution. 3. The steps for repetitive scenarios can be moved to a separate helper document inside the QA knowledge base, so in the test case we simply refer to that document. For example, do checkout CQA-KB. 4. Each test case checks only one testing idea, but 2 or more expected results are totally legitimate if we need to perform several verifications for that testing idea. 5. If a test case has 2 or more expected results, then it passes only if all actual results match their corresponding expected results. 6. A log file is a data file where lines, also called records, have a certain format. Elements within one record are divided from each by delimiter, for example, a comma. 7. Front end is the user interface. Back end is the internal software.